Everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the illusion of thinking, the paper, the big paper, the limitations of reasoning models via the lens of problem complexity. It's a big paper put out recently. It's getting a lot of attention. But first, before you do anything, hit that like and subscribe button. So today we're unpacking some cutting edge research that probes the fundamental question of the core of artificial intelligence. Can large language models actually reason, or are they very good at looking like they do? Specifically, we're looking at a new paper that came out on a new class of models, often called large reasoning models or LRMs. These are the next generation of AI systems designed not just to generate text, but to simulate structured step by step thinking. Think of them as LLMs with a built in inner monologue. So, the latest research took a deep look at their capabilities, their limitations, and then by throwing them into controlled, logic heavy puzzle environments, the results were, to say the least, eye opening. But first, why the standard tests weren't enough? So, why puzzles? Why not stick with traditional benchmarks like math, word problems, or LeetCode code style coding questions? The researchers point out that there were two major flaws in those standard methods. First, data contamination. Many benchmark problems or problems very similar to them could have already been in the model's training data, so it gets the answer right, but did it reason its way there or did it just memorize it? Second, those tests mostly grade based on the final answer, right or wrong, but they ignore the process the model used to get there. Did it think through the logic or did it just output something that was plausible looking? Solve both of those problems, the researchers used an alternative, classic logic puzzles like Tower of Hanoi and river crossing games. These puzzles allowed for precise control over difficulty, minimized the training data required and the overlap, and forced the model to rely purely on rules based reasoning, not prior world knowledge, just logic. So here's the setup. The study used four puzzle types: the Tower of Hanoi, checker jumping, river crossing, and block stacking. The Tower of Hanoi was moving discs between pegs, the checker jumping, swapping positions of pieces, the river crossing, transporting people with rules and constraints, and the block stacking was manipulating block arrangements. Each puzzle had adjustable complexity, so researchers could systematically dial up the difficulty, like adding discs in Hanoi or people in the river crossing. And the models, they weren't just the puzzle pieces in silence. They were instructed to think out loud, to generate reasoning traces step by step, which were then checked with simulators to validate results of each action. This gave the researchers a full visibility into the model's logical process, not just the final answer. Now let's get into what happened when these LRMs and standard LLMs were put to the test. The study revealed three distinct reasoning regimes depending on puzzle complexity. Regime one was low complexity. Here's the surprise. Standard models, the ones that don't explicitly think step by step, perform just as well, some even better than the LRMs. Why? Because the thinking overhead actually slowed the LRMs down. They burned more tokens for no gain. Regime 2 was medium complexity. This is where the LRMs did shine. As puzzles get trickier, the step by step thought traces started to pay off. The LRMs were more accurate, though they did need a lot more tokens to work through the problems. Costlier, yes, but more capable. And Regime 3, high complexity. That's where the researchers hit a wall. In this regime, both model types collapsed. Accuracy dropped to zero, even with generous token budgets, even with ample time to think. The models simply couldn't handle it. And this wasn't just a plateau, it was a total failure. LRMs may have delayed the collapse slightly, but they still fell off a cliff. And here's where things got a little weird. As the puzzles got harder, you'd expect the models to try harder, to think longer, use more tokens, right? That's what they did until they got close to the breaking point. Then suddenly their internal reasoning contracted. They used fewer tokens. The researcher called this a scaling limit. It's counterintuitive. The harder the task, the less effect the models made. They had the capacity, they just didn't use it. This suggests that failure isn't just about getting stuck, it's about fundamental change in how the model reasons under pressure. And this gave us a look inside their thought process. The beauty of the study is that it let researchers peer into the model's thought trace, and what they found varied by regime. In regime 1, the LRMs often found the right solution quickly, but then kept going, exploring wrong paths, engaging in classic overthinking. In regime 2, they explored wrong ideas first before landing on the right answer. Makes sense, a productive struggle. In regime 3, no correct path appeared at all. The thought process just failed to construct anything viable. Some self-correction was observed, but it wasn't robust enough to rescue the model when things got really complex. But let's talk about the two findings that really challenge assumptions. Puzzle 1, just follow the instructions. Researchers gave the models the exact algorithms for solving Tower of Hanoi embedded in the prompt. All the model had to do was follow the steps. Simple, right? Nope. Even when the researchers spoon-fed the solution, the model still failed on complex versions. Collapse happened at the same point as before. So the problem wasn't just figuring out what to do, it was executing it exactly, consistently over many steps. And that, it turns out, is really hard. So this highlights a key limitation. Models struggle with precise, rigorous, logical computation, even when given the roadmap. Puzzle 2, inconsistent performance across the puzzle types. Claude 3.7 Sonnet could solve 100 steps of the Tower of Hanoi with 10 discs, a puzzle requiring over 1,000 moves total. Impressive. But then it totally failed for just 4 moves on a river crossing puzzle that only requires 11 steps total. Same model, way shorter task, complete failure. That kind of wild inconsistency suggests something deep. These models aren't general reasoners. Their competence is tied to the structure of the problem and probably what they were doing during training. Maybe they've encountered more Tower of Hanoi events or variants online, or maybe river crossing requires a different kind of state tracking that's just harder for the model's architecture. Either way, it's not just about complexity, it's about structure. So, what does it all mean? It means that while LRMs offer real improvements, especially on moderately complex problems, they're no silver bullet. They remain fragile, inconsistent, and easily overwhelmed. Even when we give them the right algorithm, they can fail to execute it. Even when the task is short, they might choke if it demands a different kind of reasoning. And perhaps most importantly, what we call reasoning in these models might be better described as pattern matching with flair. Sophisticated, yes, but still not truly general or flexible. To get real reasoning, AI that can reliably think through novel, complex problems, we still have work to do. Fundamental breakthroughs in architecture, memory, and even our understanding of cognition itself will be needed. Until then, we have some very smart sounding machines that sometimes just don't know what the hell they're doing. So, thank you for listening. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and thanks again for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe, and share with a friend.